Hi, Rich Leiter here, and welcome to my channel, The Naked Booktuber. Okay, so yesterday or day before yesterday, I was listening to a very interesting podcast by Paul Rhoads. Paul Rhoads has a channel called Paul Talk, and he had a podcast. It was called Ideology, Forms, and God. And I really like this this podcast. Paul makes the point that the reason that the art scene is dead these days. We don't really have any more art. We just have this, contemporary postmodern thing, is because art has now taken a back seat to ideology. If the most important thing nowadays in the creation of art is whether it conforms with the art police's conception of political correctness. If it doesn't, then it has no place in art. If, for instance, if a piece of art is representational, is trying to do what the old masters did, well, that's unacceptable to the art police. It doesn't matter how beautiful or how successful the painting is, how poetic, how brilliant the use of colors is and composition and what it has to say. It will be rejected out of hand by the art police simply because it is representational or of a certain type of representation. And this is exactly what ideology is about. It rejects everything that does not conform to a preconceived notion that the authorities have. A very simple way of putting this would be, analogy would be this. Let's say that there was this proclamation that the only people in the world who existed, who had any significance and who were worthy of being alive, were black people. Not white people, not Hispanic people, not Jewish people, Italian, Irish, Romanians, nobody else. We're the only people. So if you were not a black person, you would be rejected out of hand based on the current ideology. Now, of course, this is ridiculous. People should not be judged based on their color or by their ethnic background. People should be regarded merely as human beings, and each human being should be dealt with on a case-to-case basis. Every human being has their own merits and deficiencies, and they should be judged or interacted with as such. But just to reject somebody out of hand because of their ethnic background is ridiculous. Well, this is exactly what's going on in art right now. Art of a certain type is being rejected out of hand in the same way that, say, anyone but a black person would be rejected out of hand. This is the essence of the problem we're having, which is why I was so impressed with what he said. Now, of course, not adhering to an ideology, I don't know why I say ideology, it should be ideology. Not adhering to an ideology does not guarantee that you are going to be a great artist or even a good artist. That's just a basic thing that a person should be aware of, that art is not synonymous with ideology. That true art, one does not create a work of art in order to drive home one's personal agenda or a political agenda or a political idea. This is social commentary at best, or flat out propaganda at worst. Now, sometimes social commentary can be quite brilliant. I'm not saying that it isn't. Sometimes propaganda can be quite brilliant, but they're different than art. They're just not art. Art is not composed of ideas, contrary to popular belief. Everybody's got ideas. Everybody in the world has ideas. My grandmother, my Polish grandmother from the old country, who didn't go beyond an elementary school education and who milked goats, she had plenty of ideas about everything, okay? You want ideas? Go speak to my grandmother. So ideas don't matter. It's the way that the ideas are expressed That's what matters. And how do you express ideas? Well, with writing, you express ideas with sentences, with words, with descriptions, with paragraphs. It's how you formulate them, how you drive home your idea, how you say it in the most elegant and direct way possible. That's what matters. And very few people can do that, obviously. Same goes with painting. Painting is not... You don't make a painting using ideas. You make a painting using a paintbrush and paints, and medium, oil medium if you're a painter, and composition. It's composed of substance, not merely ideas. Now, this whole question of ideas being used to generate art is kind of a slippery slope, however. I mean, in a certain sense, yes, a person does have an idea when they feel inclined to create a work of art, to write a novel or paint a painting. There is something there that makes them do it, an impetus that makes them get off of their duff and do something in the first place. However, it's a very slippery slope because you cannot let your work of art be dominated exclusively by that particular idea or that particular ideology, or it's just going to become boring. The reader is going to pick up in 2 seconds flat that an idea is being driven home in his head. It's being hammered into his head. And I personally do not like to have ideas shoved down my throat. And that is ideology, and it's deadly, deadly boring. I actually wrote about this in a book I published, and instead of going on and stumbling and stammering about it even further, I'm going to read just a couple of lines from a piece I wrote, which explores this whole subject of ideas very, very concisely. Bear with me for a second. Okay, so here's what I say. I say, you have to get into a certain zone when you're creating, where you know the general direction in which the novel or the work of art is heading, but where at the same time you don't know the exact direction in which it's heading. Because if you know the exact direction in which it's heading, then you can't have any fun with it. It just becomes a chore to write. So you need to be in just the right frame of mind while you're working on such a project. A fluid, flexible frame of mind consisting of just the right combination of direction and directionlessness, of purpose and purposelessness, in order to keep the thing fresh and alive. You see, that's the problem with ideology. When everything is driven, every sentence, every word is driven by ideology, there's nothing fresh and alive about it. It's all deadly dull. And that's why I feel this podcast of Paul Rhoads was a valuable one, because it really pinpoints what the problem is that we're experiencing right now with art. And not only is art dominated by ideology, it's been replaced by ideology, but it's been replaced by it in spades. So that's it. Thank you very much.